Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Bradler.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back. It is Monday, coming off the weekend. I'm on location, Chris. I'm sure people can tell.
Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.
This is not typical. I'm sitting on the back deck of my buddy's house. I'm in a little corner. I'm using a big cabinet that he keeps his hose and yard equipment in. And I'm just trying to make it work. So I'm at home for the weekend in my hometown, and my parents' internet is awful. So came over here, trying to make it work. It's going to work. It's going well. And we're excited, man, because we wanted to make it work, especially tonight, because we have another guest. Tonight we are joined by sophomore wide receiver AJ Henning. Super excited to talk to AJ, man. It's been a long time, and AJ may not even remember because he was a big timer in high school, but I did make my way out to see him in high school. And obviously now at Michigan, expecting big things in year two. And AJ, thanks for the time, man. Really happy to have you with us.
No, thank you for having me on.
So we'll start off with that freshman season last year. Obviously a really weird one for everybody, but I mean, you're just now getting into college football, trying to figure out, make your way, and it's like COVID and stuff's all over the map. It's just crazy. We talked to Blake Corum about it last week. What was it like for you individually? And, how did it impact you? How did it impact the team? Just, the 2-4 record. I mean, things were just all over the place.
No doubt. Like you said, things were, it was a really weird year. So like just going into it, there was a lot of uncertainty of what was to come because we'd never been in this situation before. So not many people knew what to expect. And then going into it, there was uncertainty that we were playing. So 1 minute you think you're playing, the next minute you're not. And then it finally got ruled that we weren't playing. And then they brought it back that we were. So it was just a lot of back and forth and a lot of uncertainty going on. But, we were glad we got the opportunity to play and just make the most of the situation that we had. As far as for me, it was just kind of strange playing in an empty stadium. And then at first not knowing if we were going to get the football in the fall. I never had a year where I went without playing football in the fall. So it was just a weird year and a lot of uncertainty, but a lot to learn from and a lot to grow from.
Blake mentioned last week too, and I did think about it this way, but hearing it from him, who was a freshman, he was just trying to figure it out. He said he couldn't help but think about his teammates that were seniors, and they were like, "Dang, my career is just over now." All of a sudden, I wonder what do you think that did for the energy of the team, the confidence of the team, the camaraderie? Some guys thought they were done. You were just wondering if you were going to get started. It just feels like There were so many emotions for so many different people.
Yeah, it was just terrible. Like when they brought the news to us that we weren't going to play and everybody thought, you just couldn't help but to feel bad for those seniors because, you work so hard to get up to that point and then your last year playing ball or else you move on to the next level. It's just like, you don't know because we've never been in a situation like that before. So it was tough for those guys and you definitely felt for them. But the guys who did stay and who didn't opt out and had the opportunity to play, it was good that they got that chance.
Yeah. And AJ, so obviously last season, difficult. We talked about that. We touched on that a little bit, but Brandon and I were at Big Ten Media Days and we've heard a lot of the players speak and even things that we're hearing on social media. And there seems to be a big difference in this team heading into this year versus last year. And I'm sure that, the unpredictability of last year played a part in that, but can you sort of speak to, whether it's energy, whether it's culture, can you talk about the difference you see in this team heading into this season versus last season?
Yeah, I just like whenever I step in the building, you just feel a new energy. I really noticed it this spring ball. Just having a lot of the new defensive coaches, new faces in the building, it just brings a different vibe, a different energy. And I feel like just being in the weight room, working out with the guys, we're ready to roll.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that. Obviously, Coach Harbaugh made significant changes to his coaching staff this offseason. Can you talk a little bit about, the impact that the new guys on the coaching staff have had on this program and in the culture specifically?
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of young new faces, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not a defensive player, so I don't work directly with them every day, but just seeing them around the building this summer, being around recruits and stuff like that, I've really been able to connect more with some of them. And even on the offensive side, it just brings a fresh new energy into the building. And that's really what we needed.
AJ, I wonder if you could expand on that a little bit. Something I've always been really curious about when the recruiting process is going on. It's often your future position coach, or sometimes it's regional. But you mentioned you're an offensive guy, so you're not around them a lot. But how often are you around the defensive coaches? How much do you interact with some of those new guys? And is there a defensive coach that you've kind of bonded with, maybe, even though he's not like your guy specifically?
Yeah, no doubt. You'll see the defensive coaches or whatever coaches around the building walking around, say what's up to them, talk to them. But this summer, I was a host for a couple recruits and got to, sit around for a couple of the meetings and whatnot and, dinners and whatnot. So I've been around a lot of the staff.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, sorry. We usually try to play off of the pauses. So one of the things that came out for Big Ten Media Days was, the growth of Cade McNamaras from last year to this year. And, with you being a receiver, I know that you're heading into the fall camp. So, you'll find out a lot more in the coming weeks. But I am curious, can you talk a little bit about, the growth you've seen from Cade and sort of, how he goes from, a guy that's looking for his opportunity last year to a guy that's sort of ready to, take control and command of the offense this year?
Yeah, no doubt. When I came in the summer of last year, he wasn't like one of the top guys looking to take that starting spot. But whenever we would go out and throw or like be in any type of team period, you would see the spark like, man, this guy's really good. So I always knew like he could, take that role and run with it. And, just seeing it come out into play from what happened last year into leading up into this spring and going into fall camp, he's really took command of the offense, and it's really good to see his confidence gone up, and he's playing great.
Yeah, and I'm sorry. Do you want to ask about Cade? Because I was going to move on.
It was about Cade. Yeah, it was about Cade. I wonder. It was. Oh man, maybe one of the funniest answers we got. We talked to Mozzie Smith about maybe like a guilty pleasure song or something that he listens to that he doesn't really want his boys to know he listens to, and he said something about country music, and he said Cade put him on that. I thought, first of all, it was funny. It was funny that Mozzie said that, and then I started thinking about like big defensive tackle hanging out with the quarterback. Like that's kind of funny. But what kind of a guy is Cade among one of the boys? He's the quarterback. He's battling for that position. Obviously, you as a receiver have a much closer relationship, I would imagine. But what kind of a guy is he? Maybe both on and off the field.
Yeah, I feel like all the guys just have that tight bond with each other. We hang out on the field and off the field, and when it's on the field, we're going at it, and then when it's off the field, we're together hanging out and stuff like that. So we had that relationship where with all the quarterbacks, where on the field, we take the field together as an offense, and then off the field, we're just boys.
And Mozzie Smith, country music. Just wonder.
Luke Combs.
Luke Combs it was Luke Combs specifically.
Because he blasts rap music in the locker room. I would never know that he plays country music.
Well, you see, that's why we do. Okay, so before we go any further, let's just hear it. Let's get it out of the way right now. I know, AJ Henning, that you either have a guilty pleasure. It's either music or an artist or a movie. Either way, you don't want people necessarily knowing that you're sort of into that movie or artist or song. What fits that bill for you?
Let me think. Country low key a vibe sometimes.
Okay.
The summertime.
I get where you're coming from. Yeah, I mean, in the summertime, I don't feel it in the wintertime, but in the summertime, I can get down with country a little bit. Yeah. We talked about Cade a little bit, and obviously the growth that you've seen out of him. You obviously, I think you have a bond with JJ McCarthy. Both of you guys are from the state of Illinois. He's finally on campus, and even at Big Ten Media Days, we heard obviously that Cade is, sort of taking the lead, but that JJ's fighting him every step of the way. And, this is a real battle heading into fall camp. Can you talk a little bit about what you've seen from JJ in the little bit of time that you've had with him on campus so far?
Yeah, even before, like I've known JJ since I was probably sophomore in high school, and just being from Illinois, watching his team from afar, and then being able to connect, and then we've gone on visits together and all that, and throw with his trainer and whatnot on the side. So I've known him for a while now, and just finally having him on campus, we talked about it for so long, like us playing together, coming to Michigan together, because I was there when he committed to Michigan. And then I ultimately told him when I was committing. So like it was just a plan to come play with each other. So him finally being here, it was really cool to just suit up with him and play with him this spring. He did a lot of great things this spring. I'm really excited for him to, keep building upon the spring he had and, keep building his tools to be the best player he could be. And, his ceiling has no cap like that. He's just a worker. He's a grinder. And he's going to keep pushing it.
He talked about that. He talked about how he, and I remember covering him when he was a recruit, going to every single camp and trying to work out all the time. Even when he was a big time recruit with a bunch of offers, he was still getting after everything. And he talked about all the extra work. How important do you think that is for especially quarterbacks and receivers to get that extra work, whether it's JJ, whether it's Cade, whether it's Alan Bowman, Dan Villari, the whole group? Like, how important is it for you guys to all get out there and get work together when the coaches aren't even watching?
Yeah, it's really important to be on that same page when you look at the quarterback, they give you that look and you know exactly what they mean. No one has to say anything. That's huge. And you see the work that guys are putting in, like you mentioned Dan, you mentioned Alan. You walk around the facility and those guys are getting extra throws in, those guys are working, and it doesn't go unnoticed by like guys like receivers and us. You really see them putting in the time, the effort, and the work, and it's gonna show up on the field.
And I wanted to ask too, because you mentioned being there when JJ committed, and you guys both being from Illinois. I think there was a pretty, I don't know if viral might be too strong, but there was a picture of you two posing in the big house. I can't remember who was standing up and who was low. That was before he committed. How far ahead did you know? Like when all the Michigan fans are out there waiting to like, please JJ, please. How far in advance did you know?
I think we took that visit that day, and I think he was just like telling me like, yeah, I think I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. But so I was just waiting around like, oh, is he still gonna do it? And then he did it. So
and I think it was
a moment.
I think it was 3 years in a row Michigan got the top player from Illinois. I think it was Trevor Keegan, and then you, and then JJ. And I know we're not going to get into specific names of guys because I know that's off limits right now. But what the recruiting in the state of Illinois? I mean, is that something that guys from Illinois talked about with Michigan, or did it just kind of happen that way? I mean, how much did you know about Trevor Keegan? Just the trio of you three being the top player 3 years in a row. What's that like?
Yeah, the tide of Michigan and Illinois. It like when I was in high school, I didn't really know, but just being here, you can see the tide. Like a lot of the just students here are from like Illinois or the Chicago area. Yeah. That there's a connect there. As far as that, I didn't really know too much about Trevor other than like what I seen on social media and how he committed to Michigan. He was #1 player in Illinois, the class above me. But we really got that bond here that we're all from like the same area. Tyler McLaurin, he's also just got here this summer. He's from Bolingbrook, Illinois. So, yeah, there's a lot of Illinois ties from the guys on the team.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
How far away? Because you and JJ knew each other, like you said earlier, but Trevor not as much. Wasn't he? He was from was it a little further away or just because of different grade? Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Got it. And so, we're obviously talking about younger players. I'm curious, Michigan was able to get one of the top players in the state in Andrell Anthony, top-notch wide receiver. We heard good things about him coming out of, spring ball, and in particularly the spring practice that you had. Obviously, we didn't get to see that, but can you talk a little bit about just what you've seen from him and if this guy seems like he's in a position to where he can contribute year one?
Yeah, Andrell, I think I was on a Michigan visit and I met him back when I was a recruit too. So I think it was my senior year when I met him for the first time. And then he ultimately committed to Michigan. So I was talking to him throughout his recruiting process as well. And we just grown a bond throughout since he's got here and a little bit before then. But yeah, when he got here this spring, he put some great things on tape. He did some great things. He just has a knack to get open and the ball just finds him. That's what I've seen a lot of. He has the tool to be, a great receiver. He just has to keep putting the pieces together, get his fundamentals down, and he brings like a great positive energy to the wide receiver room. And I can't wait to see what he does.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Brandon.
I was gonna say I think that wide receiver room it's so intriguing to me because you've got Ronnie Bell, who's like the old vet now. You've got a couple of younger guys like you and Roman, and then even younger guys. And Cornelius isn't like different, just a lot of different guys, but if you're calling it like it is, a lot of guys who haven't done a lot yet. I mean, there's just a huge room for growth and people are really excited about it. I think, what do you think in that group, it makes that group, potentially special?
I feel like our bond like as a group. We're so close as a group, and everybody wants each other to succeed. And we push ourselves to be the best we can be every day. And it starts with, the guy, Coach Gaddis. He's pushing us every day in practice to be the best we can be, getting the most out of us every day. So I feel like, like you said, a lot of us, Ronnie being the vet guy who's played the most, and some guys who's gotten there a little bit but haven't really got to shown their full potential. This year is going to be exciting, and it's going to be one where, I feel like the receivers can make a difference.
Yeah, that's actually that's
that delay, man. We keep getting thrown off on that delay.
But that's a good lead into my next question for you, is because, I look at the personnel that you guys have in that room and on the offensive side of the ball. I look at you, I look at Mike Sanders still, guys like Ronnie Bell. I mean, you have a lot of quickness out there. You have a lot of weapons. I'm curious how good this offense can be in 2021. And the reason I ask is because, I went back and looked through the numbers today because I was just curious where the offense ranks. And in 2019, the Michigan offense and total offense ranked 61st in the country. And then in 2020, it took a step back to 78th in the country. It seems like you guys are far more talented than that. Can you tell me, just based on the personnel you have, how good can this offense be this year?
Yeah, I think like the ceiling for this offense has no limits. Like you said, we have the players to do it. We have a lot of speed. We have a lot of guys who can have playmaking ability and get the job done. So I just feel like it's going to come down to us just executing the game plan, executing our assignments, executing the fundamentals to get the job done. So, I'm really excited to get this year going, and I'm really excited to see what this offense has in store.
Yeah, Chris mentioned the quickness in that group a little bit. There's some speed in there too.
It's all over. It's all over.
I got to ask, man, because I know you and Roman especially really excelled on the track, but with the pads on and the helmet on and the ball in hand, who's winning in a race between you and Roman?
Yeah, I would never say anybody's going to beat me in a race, so I'm going to say me. Roman probably has another answer. I'm never going unless we line it up. We haven't, but I'm going to say me, but Roman probably has a different answer.
Yeah,
we're roommates, so we look back and forth all the time.
Oh, there you go. That's how you've got to answer it, though, I guess, right? You guys got to both be confident in yourselves. You mentioned, I didn't know that, so we'll go there. You and Roman are roommates. You talk about the tightness and the bond in that room. What's that like? Couple of sophomore guys battling for position. I mean, you guys have a similar skill set. I'm sure there's a healthy competition there, but again, like you said, you guys want everybody to do well.
Yeah, no doubt. Coming in with Roman, we were the only two receivers coming in, so we've been rooming up with each other since we got here, basically. Just like coming in, learning the playbook together, going through all the, freshman struggles of college together. So we've been together through every step of the way. So that's been cool to have those experiences with him. And as far as on the field, we just want each other to succeed.
Yeah, and in terms of, we talked about the difference that you see kind of in this team as a whole going into this new season, but I'm curious about you individually. I mean, we've seen your tape. You got a handful of touches in the 2020 season. We could see flashes of what you're fully capable of. Can you talk about just the growth that you've gone through from year one to year two and how different you feel going into this year?
Yeah, going into this year, last year was just, like I said, a lot of uncertainty going into this year. We know what's at stake. We know what's going to, the schedule and everything that's going to happen. So just going into this year, I feel a lot more confident being in the offense for a whole year, having to go through some of the freshman struggles that normal freshmen go through. I'm just a lot more confident getting in there and playing in the offense. So I'm really excited for my role to grow this season and take on some more.
Yeah. And obviously September 4th, right? Home opener. The fans are going to be back in the stands. You're going to have, 110 to 115,000 people up in the stands, which is something you didn't get to experience last season. Obviously, can you talk about just the excitement that surrounds, this season, knowing that you're going to go, you're going to tap the banner in the big house in front of a full stadium?
Yeah, last season it was so strange, like just walking out and seeing nobody in the stand. It was just like, it just didn't feel like there was just no excitement there as far as that. But this season, this is what it's all about. This is why I came to the University of Michigan to play at the big house in front of 115,000. Like, I finally get to experience that, and I'm so excited for it.
I'm curious, how much of a struggle is that when you guys, like you said, you've never played in an environment like that. How much of a struggle is that playing in an empty stadium? And does that have more of an impact on the game than most people might think?
Yeah, most people don't know that it does have a major impact, and I didn't even know it had that big of an impact until I had to play in it. Just the energy that the crowd, as a player, you just feed off that and keep rolling with it. And there was just none of that last year, so it was tough.
Yeah,
I think you asked this of Blake, Chris, when we had him last week, and he kind of said no because he's like, I still got to work, I still got to do this, I still got to do that.
Yeah,
but there must be some sense of like, not that last year didn't matter or didn't count, but it almost must feel like this is your real freshman season. Like you just like the energy in the stadium, like almost like last year was a practice run or something. I mean, I cannot imagine the difference between what it's going to be like on September 4th versus every home game last year.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it didn't matter at all. I feel like I feel like last year was something to learn from and something to grow from. For me, that's what I took away from it. Like you said, I got in there a little bit and got to show some sparks of what I can do, and I feel like this year that's going to be on full display. So, as far as last year, as a full team, it was bitter the way it ended, and COVID kind of messed it up late in the end, not playing some of the late games. But yeah, there's a lot to learn from, a lot to grow from, and ready to move on from it.
Yeah. And when you talk about obviously missing out on some of the late games, and Ohio State was one of those late games that you weren't able to, to get in on the schedule. And man, when we were at Big Ten Media Days, it seemed like, the guys that were there spent 80% of the time fielding questions about Ohio State. And obviously we have seen, their signs up in the locker room and in the weight room, and what are you doing to beat Ohio State today? Can you talk a little bit about the focus that you guys are putting on Ohio State this year, and how is that different from, the previous year, your freshman year? Have you noticed a difference in the focus?
Yeah, that's a goal this year, and we want to make it known that we're coming to beat them this year. From last year, not being able to play them, it's sort of just, you feel the rivalry and you feel everything that comes with it, but not being actually able to play in the game, you don't really know what it's like. But the energy of this year is sort of like, we're letting it be known that we're coming for them and we want to beat them. And, we're working every day to do it. And like I said, I didn't get to play in the game, but everything surrounded about the game, it feels like, I'm ready. When the game comes, I'm going to be excited for it.
Okay, we got one more kind of fun question before we get to our game, right, Chris? And we've been meaning to ask every player about this, and we keep forgetting, but we've got it on the list today. AJ, I'm not going to get you in trouble here, man. I don't want you to say too much, but what can we know about alternate uniforms this year? Because we've been seeing the all blues and recruiting visits. So this isn't like we're bringing anything out that we're just speculating on. Like, we've seen pictures of it in the recruiting visits. We've seen the white on blue, the blue on blue, yellow, and throw a little bit out there for us.
I'm gonna say this: you've seen the combinations. Don't be surprised if we walk out in one of them.
There you go. That's all I needed.
That's all we needed to hear.
That's all I needed.
That's
all
all we
Chris,
needed
you
to
ready
hear.
to get it rolling?
I mean, are there any comments or any?
Actually, yeah.
Is there anything you want to throw out there?
There were a couple of decent questions I wanted to throw out from our listeners, AJ, and I thought, this one, as a confident young player, I know the answer is going to be, but the fans, how confident are you? Have you worked your way into more playing time? Do you feel like you're ready for that next step in a full season as a sophomore?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this off season, even this spring, the whole off season, this spring, just working, getting better, getting more comfortable with the playbook, more familiar with it, and just working in more. And this off season has been great as far as lifting and conditioning, and I'm ready to roll this season. Yep, I feel like I worked my way into more playing time for sure.
I'm sure you guys can't wait. I'm sure you guys all can't wait. Now, this one's tough. We always ask questions like this to players, and I know you guys don't want to single anybody out, and you don't want to make anybody feel bad. But let's say you catch a short pass, little screen or something. Who from your position group do you want blocking downfield for you to turn that short play into a big one?
I was from my position group, Ronnie Bell.
That's it. That's an easy answer, I think.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
Coach Harbaugh
my
never
first
singles
collegiate
anybody
catch.
out, but he might even pick him on this one.
Yeah, my first collision catch, Ronnie Bell, he cut the corner on it so I can get more yards. So
You can say from experience that's what you want.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. I think that might have been the last one. Let me see real quick. We'll ask. I don't know. Maybe AJ will spill the beans a little bit here. Again, we're not trying to get anybody in trouble or anything, but the fans want to know. Punt and kick return this year. Is that something we should be looking for?
Yeah, be looking out. I've been looking out getting some punts and kicks in. So
fits your skill set. I know you did. Man,
I did it in high school. So
yeah. There you go. All right, Chris, you ready?
All right, let's just get into it, man.
Right.
AJ, we talked a little bit about this before. Brandon, hit the music. We're getting into Football Feud. Football Feud is as far as I'm concerned, it's the greatest game show on a podcast anywhere.
Probably the only one. I think it's
AJ. Can you hear me okay over there?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm gonna turn. We got the music coming down. We're good on that.
So here's what we're gonna do, AJ. We're going to ask you 5 questions. You got 20 seconds to answer the questions. The top answers are going to be worth 10 points. 30 points wins the game. Just so you know what you're up against here, when we had Blake Corum on last week, Blake finished with 19 points. He did not win the game, but he is still number 1 on the leaderboard. And so this is a big deal, man. You're either going to come in the number 1 or number 2 spot to Blake Corum.
Let's get it.
So I'm going to ask the first question. As soon as I ask the first question, the clock stops, and then we'll go through and we'll let you know how it shakes out. So, Brandon, are you ready?
I'm ready. You don't have the music. I just realized I don't have the music for this part, so we're just
going
to have
to.
Yeah, I'm trying to make it. I'm on a deck. I'm outside. The sun's killing me, dude. We'll get through it. Here we go.
Count 20 seconds. Are you ready?
Right, I got you. Yeah, I'll put a clock on it. Go.
AJ, name something that makes a lot of noise.
I get 20 seconds.
20 seconds for all these questions.
I'll start it.
Okay. All right, hold on.
Start again.
Okay,
Scrub it.
So it's like fast money.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll start again.
I'll get 20 seconds.
Start again.
We'll edit this out. Nobody will see it. We'll edit this out. Okay. Are you ready? AJ, name something that makes a lot of noise.
Instrument.
Name something that makes you itch.
Poison ivy.
Name something that friends might swap.
A chapstick.
Name something people complain about.
Loud noises.
Name something sold on infomercials.
Blender.
Time.
He actually was in. It was about 22. I let it slide by about 2 seconds.
We gave you an extra 2 seconds. That's fine. We'll give him some leeway. Let's go back to number 1 and see how he did. I said, name something that makes a lot of noise. You said, AJ, what was he? Instrument. Survey says. Sorry, man, that's 0 points. That's all right. I think you did. I think you did.
Number 1.
Number 1 answer was. Well, you know what?
Listen, we need to go to the judges here because the number 1 answer was a rock band.
I think that's fair, right? An instrument.
I mean, we need to give him something for that. I mean, like, what makes the noise in a rock band?
You know what? I'm going to make the executive decision. 10 points, number 1 answer. Give it to him right now. 10 points.
All right, here we go.
Number 2, we said, name something that makes you itch. AJ said?
Poison ivy.
Poison ivy. Yay!
That is on there. 8 points. That's a third best answer.
Hey, Blake.
Top answer. So he's at 18 right now. You only got to get 1 more of these right. Third question. Name something that friends might swap. AJ said chapstick.
Chapstick.
Survey says 0 points. Man, we are going into the final question. Or no, that's not the final question.
Got 2 more.
Got 2 more. All right, the 4th question. I said name something people complain about. You said?
What did I say? Loud noises.
Loud noises.
Loud noises. We are stuck on 18, so now we are down to the last question, AJ, to see if you take that top spot or if you finish in second place. I think
we're going to need another judgment here, man.
I said
we'll get
name
there.
something sold on infomercials, and AJ said,
did I say
blender?
Blender.
I'm going to say that is a cooking supply.
Yeah.
Is that not a cooking supply?
Well, but here's the problem. If you go with cooking supply, that's 1 point. That puts him at
just tied with
19. We
Blake.
got to tie for first.
He just tied with Blake. Yep.
Oh man.
We're going to give it to you. We're going to give you the 1 point. We're going to put you at 19. We got 1A, 1B. We'll have to do it alphabetically. Damn, I wish there was a way we could solve it. I wish there was like an OT way. You know what? I think what we'll do
We'll figure something
in the
out.
future, we'll have Blake and you on.
Yeah, you gotta get us.
And you guys will settle it that way. That's how we're going to settle the score.
I like that. Sudden death, first answer, first. Yeah, I like that. We can do like a one answer trivia type of thing, and they have to get the answer right.
There
That's
we
what
go.
We'll do right there.
Yeah.
That's
Right
what
on.
we'll do right there. AJ, really appreciate. I'm getting like blinded out here, man, by the sunlight, and we're gonna wrap up pretty quick after we let you go, anyways.
Yeah.
But we really appreciate the time, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a couple years since I talked to you, so stay healthy and good luck this season, my man.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, take care.
Well, there's another one, man. Another one. We made it work out here, dude.
Was this kind of a shit show? I feel like we were a bit of a shit show today.
I wouldn't say shit show, but I'm on my backup iPad, dude. I don't have all my sounds. I'm trying to see what's going on. I can barely see my own face. I'm sweating. I'm in a black shirt.
Usually you and I are like, we're in sync. We're on the same wavelength. And I think today we were just.
Oh, well, yeah, we did step on toes a few times for the questioning too, but that's all right, man. At the end of the day, the most important part is that we're getting these guys to answer. And I mean, man, he was great. He didn't really dodge anything. He gave us some info. He talked about returning kicks and punts. He talked about the alternate uniforms. Really good answers about the freshman weird COVID season. A lot of what Blake said too. I mean, I can't imagine coming in as a freshman, all the excitement that you've built up your whole life for that season, and then you get what you had last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
everybody's excited about this year, and none more than these sophomores, especially.
Right, and it's you would expect him to say that he's got confidence in this offense, but I think. For a lot of fans, that has been the most puzzling thing. Like, you look at the roster, you look at the personnel, you look at the wide receivers that are there and people at skill positions, and you say to yourself, like, this offense should be better. These guys should be moving the ball. And for some odd reason, it just hasn't materialized. And, I'm glad to hear that he's confident that it's going to be better this year. But yeah, again, you look at the roster and the talent is there, and so now it's just a matter of putting together the pieces. But
got to see it
September 4th. Yeah,
you got to see it for sure. Give a shout out real quick. Give a shout out to Raheem Anderson, who I think he drops by everything we've done, and he liked the interview. I mean,
I appreciate. You know what? I appreciate that, Raheem, because I felt like we were not on our game today. So
it was a little tricky. I'm trying to do it. I mean, honestly, dude, I'll make an excuse when there's one to be made. I could barely see the screen, and I can kind of tell when you're done talking and when I'm gonna have a spot. And I just, I didn't have it today, man. We all have bad games. Hey,
we'll recover.
I just had a 1 for 10 shooting game. That's what that was.
We'll recover. I got confidence, buddy.
We will be back on. I guess break it down. I think we're doing something slightly off schedule this week.
We are. So we're going to be off schedule. Usually we're Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got Roman Wilson coming up, wide receiver, and then we've got Chris Hinton on Thursday, big defensive lineman, who's going to be a huge factor this year. So it's going to be a good week.
So, of course, now we're done. Huge cloud comes in. Beautiful lighting. I can see I'm not hot anymore.
That's how it works.
We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be back again on Wednesday. Thanks for listening, everybody.